Hello and welcome back to another episode of Balanced and Bougie. Today, this is a solo episode, so you're stuck with just me, Erica, today. I have been scouring the internet for the most interesting friendship Reddit questions, ones I think I can actually have insight on. When I say the most interesting, I'm actually going to walk that comment back because I read like 8 that I'm like, there's no way this is true. And half of them would have to have like trigger warnings. And I've decided that's not where we're going for this first episode. We're going to kind of keep it a bit casual. We're going to keep it chill. And we're just going to talk through something many people have probably experienced before. This is my first time playing with this setup for an episode. So if you notice anything wonky or you have any suggestions to make it better or more, user friendly, let me know. I definitely want to make sure that the content is serving you, entertaining, and worth your time and worth my time too, because now I'm learning how to edit because Brooke does all of that. I don't know how I'm supposed to function without her, but I'm on it. I'm going to do it. This is going to be great. I'm going to read this story and address what I think is some of the more important content and give you my opinion and some ideas. I think the great thing about when you're really getting advice is it kind of helps you either way. You're either going to hear what I say and you're going to think, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's the same way I would handle it. Or you're going to have like a stark, no, I totally disagree. And that gives you your answer anyway. And you're kind of able to follow, what you truly want and what you think. Because in the end, a lot of these, friendship-based decisions, they need to be made from your heart. Here is the first story. I'm a 26-year-old female. I usually don't use sites like these, and honestly, I don't like them. But I'm confused and I need some advice. There's this young lady I've met at church named Julie. Julie is married with 4 kids. I've known her a little over a year, and I consider myself to be close friends with her, but I'm not sure she considers me a close friend. We go weeks without talking, and she seems okay with this. She never asks to meet up or hang out outside of church. We've hung out once outside of church, and that was when she was painting a mural. I understand that she has a family and 4 kids and is busy and everything, but friendship-wise, this just isn't working for me. I'd like to talk to my friends at least once a week. She has only texted me first, and I've known her. She has only texted me first once since I've known her the past year. The other times, I've texted her first. I'd like to see and hang out with my friends at least semi-regularly, but me and Julie only ever see each other at church meetups, but sometimes she's not there. She always tells me she loves me and all that, but I'm just confused. I'm frustrated and not satisfied in this relationship at all. I don't feel like we communicate enough to consider ourselves close friends. What do y'all think? So, my immediate impression of this question is that this is kind of a confusion over the different types and like levels of friendships and also the different types of friendships that we carry through different phases of life. I'm unsure if you who wrote this, if you have children of your own, if you're married, if you work in the home, work out of the home. There's a lot of different variables, that could kind of influence some of these answers. One thing that I think is really important to keep in mind is that different kind of friendships don't make somebody more or less important, right? There are going to be friends that you speak to multiple times a week. There are going to be friends that you speak to multiple times a year. That doesn't mean that one person matters way more to you than the other. It just kind of means that you're connecting on this one topic, that you're seeing each other more regularly due to being in the same place. There's a million different things that can contribute to how regularly you're seeing someone or meeting up with them. And there are different types of friendships. And we've actually talked about this on Balanced and Bougie before, where you have some friends who are these, ride or die friends that you maybe only see a couple times a year, who you've been friends with for almost your entire life. And you know that really no matter what life turns and takes you have, they're still going to be your friend, but you're not maintaining that friendship as regularly as some of your other friends who you may be talking to every day because you have a cycling class together or you go to church and you see each other every Sunday. These friendships are different. And then there are friends who you maybe grow in and out of in your connection to them as life goes on. we are constantly changing as people, and that also impacts, the kinds of friendships that we're fostering and the types of friendships that we're engaging with regularly. It sounds like Julie has a really busy life. I don't have any kids, but I have friends with one child or two on the way, and I can already see how busy it is taking care of those children, taking them to all of their appointments, making sure that they are being socialized, playing with them, enriching their, pre-schooling, all of those sorts of things, or if they're already in school, managing sports, managing schedules, all those different things. It's a super busy, complicated thing. She may not have the amount of free time that you have. And when we're building friendships, it is important for us to take into consideration what the person we're trying to connect with is experiencing and what they're going through. If you know that Julie is hurting her kids like cats and she is overwhelmed and trying her best, then you might have to decide if you value her and her friendship enough to be aware that you're always going to be the one reaching out. Some people, it's not natural for them to remember to reach out to their friends all the time, and it doesn't mean that she doesn't care about you. It just means that doesn't come naturally to her, or she's super busy. And it's also okay for you to decide, I don't feel good about that. That's the really complex thing about relationships, is it's not she's right, you're wrong, or vice versa. There are a million different reasons that you guys could be having this communication lag, and there are several different ways to solve it. Additionally, it seems like the two of you may want different things out of this friendship. She may enjoy seeing you at church, and you're one of her church friends, and she thinks of you in relation to that. It might sound kind of harsh. Julie may not be looking for the same level of friendship that you're looking for, and that's okay. It's up to you to decide if you're willing to adjust your friendship with her to be casual, to be one where you see her at church and maybe you occasionally text one another, but not a regular correspondence back and forth. I also feel like as we get older, a lot of those ongoing conversations don't happen as much. I feel like many people don't text their friends every single week. I think it's normal to go a while without talking to somebody. While it's great if you can talk to somebody every single week, that's just not realistic for everybody. I'm also sensing a bit of frustration or even anger, and that might be my own interpretation of your language, but I'm reading statements like, this isn't working for me, I'm frustrated and not satisfied, I don't feel like we communicate enough. And those sentiments are telling me that this is upsetting to you. I think we're coming down to a decision where you evaluate that friendship that you have with Julie, and you decide, I really think that Julie and I could be close friends. I think she wants to be close friends. When we're hanging out, that's the vibe I'm getting from her. And then you could decide, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reach out to her, and I'm going to say, like, hey, I would like us to try to hang out more regularly. But one thing that's important to consider, you said she's a mom of 4. Then you're going to have to structure your plans around what you know is realistic for her. Is she able to, drop her kids off at their grandma's and come meet you for coffee every week? Probably not. That's not realistic for most people. So if you're really wanting to see her more often, then you also have to be willing to put in the effort. An option could be you message Julie and say, like, hey, every few weeks, it'd be great if we could get coffee and take your kids to the park, and they'll play and we'll sit on the bench and talk while we watch them together. And that way she's able to connect with you, but she doesn't feel like she's having to put in all of this extra work to find someone to watch her kids, maybe pay somebody to watch her kids. We don't know what her situation is. And, a lot of parents, they like being with their kids. So it's really important to think when you're building friendship with someone who has children, I think it's important to know that you're going to have a relationship with those kids in some capacity too, and decide to what level you're wanting to be involved with them or willing to be involved with them. Otherwise, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a church friend, a friend who fits in this specific environment. She probably does care about you. She enjoys seeing you, but maybe that is what the friendship is. Like, we hang out when we're at these functions, we get along, it's positive, and then we go home, and I wish you well. I also feel like maybe one of the things you're noticing is that you said she tells me she loves me. I'm assuming you're taking that as like a bigger sign of connection between the two of you. And some people give love super freely. They are very comfortable telling someone that they love them. They're able to say that really early. And, maybe they are just spreading love everywhere they go. Other people, that's like a much more meaningful statement to them. They hold it for only the most special people in their lives. It's not something to be handed to everybody. And both of those things are okay. But I do get the feeling that you and Julie aren't on the same page when it comes to the type of friendships you're engaging with and maybe some of the language being used. I'm not sure that this is something that you need to address with her. I think it's more something where you decide, I'm going to reach out and try to find a way to make this work within both of our lives and schedules, or you need to just decide, this hurts my feelings a little bit. I'm a little sad we're not closer, but I value the friendship enough to just have it be what it is. And if it's really bothering you, then you can take a step back. If she's never messaging you and you are always the one reaching out to her, you don't have to reach out to her anymore. You can be done. It's okay for you to take a step back. It's normal for friendships to be a match that strikes and then fizzles out. It's normal for friendships to get bigger, get smaller, grow, and ebb and flow as life moves on. Those are all okay. It doesn't make you a bad guy. It just is what you have the capacity to do at this time. And on that note of thinking that you might be frustrated or angry, I usually think that those, we've all heard the idea that those are secondary emotions for sadness. I think maybe you're feeling sensitive, you're feeling hurt because you think this friendship could be something more and you're almost feeling rejected. You're thinking this is like Julie's opinion of you. So you are hurt or angry that she doesn't, quote unquote, want to be closer friends with you, when it has nothing to do with what she does or doesn't want. These probably aren't even thoughts that are occurring to her. It's not about you. It's not a rejection of you. This is just part of how relationships go. And unfortunately, relationships are not a science. They are not black and white. They are tricky, they're sticky, and they're one of those areas where we are our most vulnerable. And when we're at our most vulnerable, that's when we have the highest chance of getting hurt, but we also have the highest chance of having positive experiences, connections, relationships, and authentic, human connection. What do you guys think? Do you think that I'm being too... Do you guys think that I am being too accommodating for Julie? Should I be more frustrated with her not reaching out or say that she is a bad friend? I just kind of feel like most people aren't thinking about these things or thinking about them as much as we are, especially when we're internalizing the reactions towards ourselves. I would bet this hasn't even registered to Julie that she's never texted first. But in the end, what really matters is if you're feeling hurt, if your relationship with somebody is causing you to leave those interactions feeling worse than you started with them in, then it's not serving you. And it's important for you to go ahead and decide to stop putting in that effort if it is something that is just causing you pain and discomfort and, making you second guess yourself. And that, again, doesn't make Julie a bad guy, doesn't make you a bad guy. It's just more about protecting yourself and protecting your feelings. So I hope that you guys listening found this to be helpful, or at least made you start thinking about how you would handle it differently than I said. And thank you for listening and hanging on while I rambled and got used to this new format. It's a little bit more difficult to know that you can't see me, to know that I don't have another person to riff on back and forth. So I do get I find myself being a little bit nervous and trying to avoid rambling, but still get my point across. There's definitely going to be some adjustment as I continue recording these episodes and learning what makes more sense, and hopefully picking out questions and finding ways to answer them in a way that really fits within this format. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait to talk to you guys again. Thanks.